What's going on, you guys? TBR here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another King of Fighters All-Star video. In today's video, we have a ton of information to talk about, so we're just going to go ahead and jump straight into it. However, we are going to be talking about several different things today. We're going to start by talking about these new Datamines because, you know, Street Fighter, and then we're also going to be talking about the buffs to Boss Syndrome Omega Rugal and Boss Syndrome Orochi, as well as the buffs to the unified versions of those characters as well. That will be what we talk about after this, and then we'll go ahead and get into the update breakdown, and I'll have a little bit of a surprise for you guys here at the end of the video. So with all of that being said, timestamps will be active in the description. The chapter functionality will also be there for you guys if you need to jump around. But with all that being said, let's get into the video and let's start talking about Datamines. So first up here, we need to talk about something that is very important. So you guys are going to see Akuma referenced in here as Goki in the data. This means that for all of us wondering about the whole Vega versus M. Bison thing, you know, is it going to be actual Vega as we know him in the Western audiences, or is it going to be M. Bison? Because again, Vega is the name for M. Bison in the Japanese versions of the game. Well, as you guys can see, we can pretty much infer from this that if Goki is referenced in here, and of course Goki is Akuma, then of course that probably means that we are getting M. Bison and not Vega. That is a huge relief for a lot of people out there, including myself, because yeah, I wanted M. Bison. So that is going to be the first thing I wanted to talk about. As you guys can see there, Goki is clearly referenced in the files. And speaking of Goki, okay, so Akuma, the character I've wanted for years in this game and thought it was a pipe dream. He's coming, and he looks awesome. So as you guys can see, this is of course going to be the way he will look when he gets into the game. There might be some final touches up done to him, but in general, he doesn't need any touching up because he looks fantastic. So as you guys can see there, that's going to be what we're going to be seeing as far as Akuma is concerned. God, I can't wait to A5U. Can we just get this now? Anyway, I'm going to try not to gush too much because we have a lot to talk about. So we also have Ryu here. In my opinion, this right here, I don't know about that. A little wonky to me, but in general, it's Ryu, so we can't complain. So those are going to be the two character models that have been data mined. They both look fantastic. We had seen Ryu before, but now we get to see Akuma in all of his glory. And we also get to see Ryu, yeah, looking a little wonky, like I said, but hey, it is what it is. Now, other things we see in here. Daimos base is probably going to be coming back. We have new Daimos base assets in here, so we'll have to wait and see when that happens, if that happens, but there is new assets for Daimos base in the data. We are also going to have some extra Street Fighter V fun here where we've got a bunch of different assets for Street Fighter V. So we just got some miscellaneous assets there. There we have our tokens for our characters as well as our cards. So that's going to be that, not much to talk about. We have the new archive system, which is probably going to be tied to EX skills and so on. We're not entirely sure, but these are going to be assets for those. So cool stuff. It looks like we've got a wolf, and then we've got Orochi, and yeah, several different things here. So, you know, we got the serpent, we got the wolf. We'll have to wait and see what all this means, but those are in the data as well. Here we have some tickets. So as you guys can see, you're going to have your selector ticket. You're going to have your battle card summon tickets for your Street Fighter collab. Also really cool. We've got some new assets here. So not much to talk about, but pretty much got some montage assets there that look pretty neat. So not much to go over there. We have the new lobby screen for Street Fighter V, as you guys can see there. Awesome stuff. Yes, guys, it's happening. It's coming. Just we have to be a little bit more patient. Some new memory assets, not much to talk about there. It does look like we're going to be seeing a DICE event for the Street Fighter V collaboration, as you guys can see with this little guy here. And then we also have this here, which not sure what this is, but if this is... So if you guys haven't played a lot of gacha games, if this basically means we're going to be getting the gacha equivalent to something like a one-armed bandit like we see in 2002 UMOL or something like that, because basically, if you guys don't know what that is, you can give some of your currency in that game to the one-armed bandit. It comes around every so often, and then you go ahead and basically put it into like a slot machine system, and it pumps out more rubies than you fed it, and basically you have a basement and a ceiling that you can hit with that. You can either get a ton more than you gave it, or you can get just a little bit more, but you're always guaranteed to get more than you put in. So if that is the case, and we may eventually see that in this game, that would be an incredible thing. It does look like this will have to do with rubies. We do not know. I don't know what it is. I'm just kind of speculating there, but it would be super cool, right? Like, who wouldn't want to see that? But in general, we'll have to wait and see what this means. It could be Street Fighter related. We don't really know, but I just think the name that we have here is really funny. It's Poo Poo Punch. I know, I have the sense of humor of a 13-year-old, but anyway. We also have a Ruby attendance. This is probably going to be some sort of login asset here with Chun-Li for the Street Fighter V collaboration. We also have this here, not entirely sure what that is. It's labeled as gift pre-event, so we'll have to wait and see. We have this here, which is labeled as wish pre-event. Again, we'll have to wait and see. And then we have what appears to be possibly a Rush dungeon asset, and this is all stuff that is specifically going to have been posted by La Latino here over on my Discord, which we will have a link in the description to my Discord. If you guys aren't in there, definitely check it out. We have a lot of fun, and it's very informative at times. Other times it's just memes. So anyway, you guys, that is going to be what we have here. So in general, there is a ton of assets that have been added in, a lot of Street Fighter assets. I know a lot of you guys are probably excited for that. But with that being said, we don't have time to waste on this video. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is we're going to jump into the video itself. So with all that being said, this was the longest intro I've ever done. So with that all out of the way, cue the music. Alright, you guys, now before we go ahead and get into the actual update, I want to go ahead and talk about something that was changed here in this update notice late in the day yesterday. So I can go ahead and talk about this now, but this was not here as you guys saw in yesterday's video. This was not here yesterday when we went over this in the morning. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the buffs to Orochi and Boss Syndrome Omega Rugal, because yeah, they need to be talked about. So first thing here we're going to talk about is going to be Boss Syndrome Orochi. Now, for those of you who have never seen this layout before, basically, the things in red are going to be the things that have been updated. So you're going to see a lot of that in here. So they go ahead and show you the before and after, and anything in red is new. So that's what we're going to focus on. So first up here, on Orochi. The first skill, the S1, is now going to give him immunity to damage for 4 seconds. This is huge for him because immunity, straight up immunity, means that, yeah, he isn't going to get that taken away. Pretty good stuff. It's not hyper armor, it's not super armor, it's straight up damage immunity. Always good to see. Now, here we go with the big one. Orochi now has a dot, and he has radiant damage. So you apply radiant damage to the target for 7 seconds upon landing a skill, guard included. Phenomenal buff for this character. We've all talked about how he needs a dot, and there you have it, and there you are. This character now has a dot, and yeah, he's going to be really good. So all of you Orochi fans out there, be hype. Next up here, we are going to have an effect on the S2 that has been changed. As you guys can see, before we had used to increase attack by 30% for 7 seconds. Now the S2 is used to increase attack by 50% for 7 seconds. So there's an increase of 20% here from 30 to 50. Good stuff. We also have another percentage increase here on the same skill for the S2. It used to be a 50% chance to ignore the target's guard upon landing a successful attack, and now it's an 80% chance to ignore the target's guard upon landing a successful attack. And then finally, we have a full line of text here that was added. We now increase the target's damage received by 30% for 8 seconds upon landing a skill. Yeah, this character got a lot of really good help. So that's going to be the S1 and the S2. Let's talk about the S3. The S3 also has a change here to his interrupt. He can now use this while not just standing like it was before, but also airborne. Big deal. Interrupts are always important. And then we have a whole new line of text here again. 70% chance to remove the target's hyper armor or shield upon landing a hit. Notice it says shield. Yeah, big deal. Big deal. For things like PvP, good stuff. Next up here on the cores, we have a couple of percentage changes, so let's talk about those. Originally, we increased our attack by 4% and penetration by 200 for 5 seconds for each attack, stacking up to 5. And now we increase our attack by 8%, so it's doubled from 4 to 8. And then we go from 200 to 600 on our penetration. Big jump there. Good stuff. Next up here, we are going to have our gains 10% power when our combo count is 20 or above on a cooldown of 20 seconds. It has changed on the cooldown from 20 seconds to 10 seconds. Woohoo! That's cut in half. Big stuff. Next up, whole new line of text, decreases active skill cooldowns by 0.2 seconds when attacking targets affected by Starlight. All of you Orochi fans out there, was the wait worth it? I think the wait was worth it. So finally, we have one last core to talk about. As you guys can see, we have some percentage changes here. So we go from a 50% chance to reset the cooldown of blast active skills upon landing. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. It goes from a cooldown of 20 seconds to 10 seconds and increases from 50% chance to 70% chance. Phenomenal buff. Again, this character just keeps on coming. The hits keep on coming. Whole new line of text here again. Final one we'll talk about. Increases active skill damage dealt to targets affected by Starlight by 55%. What is there to say? They want you guys wanted Orochi to be ridiculous. Well, congratulations. He's now ridiculous. Good lord. So that is going to be the Orochi buffs. My god. Omega Rugal. Let's talk about him. So Omega Rugal here, we're going to start out with the S1. Now, as you guys can see, we have a percentage change here. Originally, we used our S1 to increase our attack by 35% for 5 seconds. Now we use it to increase our attack by 50% for 5 seconds. That's a jump of 15% for those of you at home that don't want to do the math. Next up here, originally we had a PvP exclusive of disabling the target's roll for 3 seconds when a successful skill, guard included, ended. Now that same effect goes from 3 seconds to 5 seconds. So a little bit of a change there. It's a 2-second increase, not too shabby, but we'd also have a full new line of text. We apply bloodshed for 8 seconds to the target upon landing a hit, guard included. So again, more blood on this character, more bleed, good stuff overall, but it gets even better. So on to the S2. With the S2, we have a percentage change here. Originally, we had a 40% chance to reset the cooldowns upon a successful attack on a cooldown of 18 seconds. Now we have a 70% chance to reset the cooldowns upon a successful attack with a cooldown of 10 seconds. So we get a 30% increase here. We also get 8 seconds shaved off the cooldown. Awesome stuff. And then finally, our interrupt tier, which was on our S2, originally was only good while standing. Now it is good while standing or airborne, just like what we saw with Orochi. So good stuff so far, but it continues to get better. We go to the skill 3. More percentage changes here. Originally, we used this to increase our attack by 27% for 10 seconds. Now it goes from 27% to 45%, and we have another change on the PvP exclusive here. Originally, we had a 60% chance to remove the target's super or hyper armor upon landing a skill on a target with super or hyper armor. Now we have a 70% chance. So an increase of 10% there. Not a big one, but still really good. Now we get into the cores. First core here, we are going to have the King of Fighters 95 core. Now, originally, we become immune to stun. Now we become immune to stun and fear. This is mostly going to be important for things such as championship, because fear is something that you don't see a ton of immunity to so far, but that is definitely going to help him out there quite a bit. And then we also see a percentage change here that is a whopper. Originally, we had deals bleed damage equal to 80% of attack to the target upon landing a skill. Now we're dealing damage equal to 300% of attack. Huge increase, and this is going to be a huge deal for this character's damage output. We also have a full new line of text. We increase our active skill damage to bleeding targets by 170%. That's a lot of damage. It's a lot of damage on that core. Good stuff, probably my favorite part of this buff to him. Now, finally, we have Omega Rugal syndrome, and as you guys can see, we have several different percentage changes here. So originally decreases targets damage dealt by 25% for 7 seconds and increases their damage received by 25% for 7 seconds upon landing an active skill. Now we have decreases targets damage dealt by 40%, and we also have the damage received going up to 40%. So that is awesome, but we also have 8 seconds shaved off the cooldowns. In general, fantastic overall, can't complain whatsoever. So that is going to be the buffs to the boss syndrome versions of these characters. However, we also have buffs to their baby versions. That's what I'm gonna call the unified banner versions of these boss syndrome characters at this point. So, as you guys can see, 97 Orochi and 98 Omega Rugal also got buffed. We're gonna talk about those as well. Same things apply here. Everything in red is what's new. So let's get into it. 97 Orochi's buffs, starting with the S1. We have first up here a change to a percentage. Originally, it was used to increase attack by 28% for 7 seconds. Now we use it to increase our attack by 50%. So a 22% increase there, not too shabby. On the S2, originally we had this effect here, but now we have a whole new line of text. He now deals starlight damage equal to 45% of attack every 1 second for 10 seconds to the target upon landing a skill. It has a super long duration, a very, very good overall starlight app in general. This is going to help him out quite a bit. It is really cool that they went ahead and did this for both of these characters. They didn't have to, but the fact that they did, definitely commendable. Now, on the S3, we have some new lines of text again. So we're going to deal starlight damage equal to 5.5 times of the remaining starlight damage and remove starlight when attacking an enemy affected by starlight on a cooldown of 1 second. So we now have starlight explosion. Another really nice helpful buff for this character's damage output. And again, when it comes to starlight, it's always a good option when it comes to these different dots. So it's really cool to see that Orochi's the character that is going to be benefiting from it. And then finally, we do have a change to a core here. Originally, it increased our active skill damage dealt to burned enemies by 50%. Now we are using it to increase our active skill damage dealt to burned enemies by 100%. So it has doubled from 50% to 100%. Good stuff in general. Is this character going to be Uber? No, he's a unified banner fest, but at the same time, it is going to help him out a ton. Now, Omega Rugal. Omega Rugal is an old character. He has not had any love for a very long time, so let's see what he got. So first up here on the S1, we have a couple new lines of text. We use this now to increase our attack by 50% for 10 seconds, so not too shabby. And then we increase the target's damage received by 15% for 8 seconds upon landing a skill. Pretty good. So in general, those are some pretty good little lines there. That's going to help him out quite a bit. This character, again, just like I talked about with Orochi, who's definitely going to be better in my opinion than Omega Rugal is going to be. This isn't going to make him anywhere near Uber, but it is going to help his performance out for all of you beginners. Now, on the S2 on God Press, we now have a new line of text that applies darkness equal to 45% of attack every 1 second for 8 seconds to the target upon landing a skill. Really nice buff there. He now has darkness. That is going to update him quite a bit, bring him into the 2022 meta of some sort. Again, he's not going to be anywhere near the top. He's not probably even going to be near the middle, but he's still going to have a lot of help when it comes to unified banner fests. And in general, the limited banner characters are going to outperform any of these unified banner characters 9 times out of 10. The thing is though, for the people out there that don't have access to them just getting into the game, this is invaluable stuff. Now on Gravity Smash, which is going to be the S3, we deal darkness damage equal to 5.5 times of the remaining darkness damage and remove darkness when attacking an enemy in darkness on a cooldown of 1 second. And that is the buffs to Omega Rugal. So kind of like what they did with Orochi for Starlight, they gave Rugal the darkness version, so he has explosion, he has a darkness application. So in general, the baby versions and the boss syndrome versions of these characters have all been buffed. Orochi, in my opinion, is the big winner, but both of these characters are now fantastic in my opinion. Orochi, though, I have a lot of really good feelings about when it comes to the buffs he got, but then again with Omega Rugal, you can't complain. Both of them look like they're going to be extremely good and definitely in a better spot than they were before. So that's going to be the buffs to all these characters, you guys. With that being said, we can go ahead and get into the update breakdown. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is, of course, going to be the Rush Dungeon event. As always, do not start grinding on this thing until the 3rd stage opens up, unless you enjoy wasting AP. Now, this time around, these are going to be the characters and the cards that you guys are going to want to use in order to increase your gains. So that's what you guys are going to be seeing there. No muss, no fuss. Now, when it comes to the exchange shop, as you guys can see, there's a ton of value here. The first big thing you're going to notice is Omega Rugal. Make sure that you guys get this. This is a free Boss Syndrome Omega Rugal memory, so make sure you pick him up. If you don't already have him, well, guess what? You get a free Boss Syndrome Omega Rugal, so congratulations. So this is fantastic. It's going to cost you 100,000 coins, and you can only buy him once. However, phenomenal prize for a Rush Dungeon event, so make sure you get them. Now, other things in here of note, the 5 to 6 star battle card summon ticket, you can get up to 3 of them per account. You'll probably want to make sure you pick those up too, and probably bank them for a future carnival. When it comes to this right here, you can buy up to 3 of these Fest Memory Mystery Boxes, and you're going to see that these are pretty much just your unified banner Fests, but hey, free Fest memories are free Fest memories, and at the end of the day, you can parlay these into a dimensional invitation, which is probably going to come in handy when we get the Street Fighter V collaboration. Now, another thing to look at here is, of course, going to be kind of the daily prizes. So you're going to see here these tokens, you're going to see capsules, hammers, so on and so forth. You'll want to pick all this stuff up. So in my opinion, this is definitely going to be something you're going to want to sink a lot of AP into. And I do think that this is probably the best Rush Dungeon event we've had in a very, very long time, considering the value that is in that exchange shop. So that is going to be the Rush Dungeon event this time around, you guys. Phenomenal one this time around. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is going to be the tower. As you guys can see, we are going to have a Boss Syndrome Tower. Now for this, you can only enter it and play it if you have either Omega Rugal or Orochi, which shouldn't be difficult at this point, considering the fact, like I just showed you, you can actually get Boss Syndrome Omega Rugal for free during this event. If we go through here, there's going to be all kinds of really cool prizes. So if we go through, you're going to notice a lot of capsules. You're going to notice right here, we get this Fest Mystery Box, which again is going to be another way to get a free Fest memory. And as we go through here, you're just going to have all kinds of fun stuff, but then it starts getting really interesting as you climb the ladder, because you also get this Boss Syndrome battle card summon ticket, which is going to have all these cards here. So this is awesome stuff. Really good cards in there. I'm not going to go through the whole pool because we've talked about those all in the past, but still really cool to see it. You get some skip tickets for Epic Quest in here, all kinds of stuff. But in the end, the last 2 prizes, you're going to get this guy right here. This is going to be a Boss Syndrome Fighter Summon ticket. So yesterday we had talked about how the final reward for this was going to be Orochi, and some people might be upset that this ticket might be gone. However, it's still here. It's just going to be for tier 29. And then of course, for the final tier, you're going to get Boss Syndrome Orochi himself. So in general, another phenomenal tower. They've been knocking it out of the park each and every single time with these towers, and arguably this is going to be the best one for these limited banners we've seen so far. So make sure you guys play through this, because it shouldn't be too difficult to do, especially considering, like I said, you can get that Boss Syndrome Omega Rugal for free right now. Now, speaking of getting these fighters, let's talk about the banners. So the banners are back. Now, as you guys can see, both of the banners are going to be here, and there is going to be a rate up. So you can go ahead and change your rate up to either of these characters if you like, or you've got a bunch of other characters in here from the Unified banner, which is sus. So yeah, just go ahead and pick whichever fighter you want. I'm going to pick Omega Rugal because right now I have a spare memory for both of these characters sitting around. I also have a couple of Boss Syndrome generic memories sitting around. So right now I technically only need one more Omega Rugal memory, which I could get from that exchange shop to get him to A5. So I'm going to go ahead and pick him for my rate up for my free rubies. I already have Orochi at Awakening level 5, and I have a spare memory like I said. So in general, I can pick up another one from that tower. I only need one more to get him to the change-up system, and I'm going to be doing that in a future video, so stay tuned. But I just figured I would go ahead and mention that. But again, you can pick your rate up. In my opinion right now, as far as the cards that are going to be here, I would go ahead and pick the Omega Rugal option, because this option card is fantastic. We've talked about it before. You guys probably know how good it is at this point. If I were you guys here, I would be picking Orochi unless you're like me and you don't need to pick him because of other factors. Orochi is the better of the two characters in my opinion. However, it could just come down to personal preference. Like I had already talked about in the intro to the video, we've already gone over the buffs to these characters. Both of them look fantastic. So in my opinion, this is definitely going to be worth the free rubies. And with this new rates here, because we do have this rate up here, you are going to notice the 1% chance. Really good stuff. So good luck to you guys if you're pulling. Those are just my recommendations. Again, Orochi here is probably the best option, and then this option card is probably the best option, no pun intended, for the card banner. So that is what we got there, you guys. Let's start talking about some other things they added, though. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is some of the new chapters they've added to some of these different modes. So as we talked about yesterday, there are going to be new things here that are very important. So we do have new Hall of Elements stages, as you guys can see. This now goes up to stage 33. The most important thing here to note is you are going to need quite a bit of CP when you get to these higher tiers. However, it will be worth it because, as you guys can see, tons and tons of rubies to be had here for your first time clears, and then you're going to see the prize pool there. If we go ahead and click on these, we'll actually click on the highest tier one. And as you guys can see, pretty good stuff in here overall. However, you are still going to have a bunch of spoilers in here. So overall, the biggest selling point here to me is going to be the first time clear rubies, but the Hall of Elements has been updated, and that will continue with some of these other Hall of Elements bosses. Now, the next thing I want to talk about as far as getting new chapters in here is actually going to be the battle card dungeon. So if we go all the way down here, we are going to see that we have new tiers for the battle card dungeon. It goes all the way up to tier 15. If I go ahead and click on this, again, you guys are going to see more rubies. Make sure that you guys do these things, and we will be seeing future installments with this as well, with this battle card dungeon. So new chapters have been added in general for this, but as you guys can see, really good stuff in here. This guy here, I believe, might be new. I don't think this was in here before. I could be wrong, but in general, the card pool is pretty much what you've come to expect, so not much to talk about there. Biggest thing again is going to be those rubies. So that is pretty much going to be that part. Of course, another thing that they did go ahead and add here is we are going to have new parts to Reviving Hell Dungeon. So you have new chapters in here. This is another big deal. I've been very lazy with Reviving Hell's Dungeon for a very long time, and I'm going to need to go through this and do this. But in general, we can now go up to stage 70. So if we go in here, you guys can see that we can go ahead and scroll down here to stage 70, and those are going to be the rewards. So that is now open, and I will be working on that probably on the weekend or something along those lines when I get more time. Now, of course, we can't talk about things that were added without talking about Guild Raid. So if we go into Guild Raid here, and I've already done this once today, so this isn't a big deal, and this is one of the best parts of the update. Now, Guild Raid here. This is going to be Inferno difficulty. Now, as you guys can see, you're going to want Chill and Shock. I have admittedly only played this once, and as you guys can see, I easily blew through this. I ended up playing against Omega Rugal, which was interesting, on the Nightmare Geese stage, which I thought was kind of fun. But basically, I went in here with Boss Syndrome Nameless, I soloed this, and this was my first attempt. I didn't do anything different. This is not that difficult. However, what you are going to notice is you are going to need quite a bit to get to this. So to get to this new box here, which right here you can see it, you are going to need quite a bit of damage. So right there, that is going to probably be something at first that is going to cause people to go, oh crap. However, do not worry about it. You guys can pretty much tell from looking through here, this doesn't end up being that difficult. And in general, you guys, this should be something that is extremely easy for most people that were already doing really well with some of these other difficulties. So if you're somebody that's never had a problem with Guild Raid, you're probably going to find this to be pretty easy overall. However, the biggest thing we need to talk about is this new reward box for the full damage allocation. You guys are going to see something here that is probably one of the most hype things that they have done for us in a very long time. Right here, you're going to see a Boss Syndrome generic memory is in the prize pool for Inferno Guild Raid. This is huge. However, it doesn't stop there, because if I were to scroll down here, this is probably the biggest thing. We get an SS generic memory as well. So in general, you guys, we have generic memories in here now in this prize pool for Inferno difficulty of Guild Raid. This is a huge deal. It is a game changer, no pun intended. If you guys are complaining about this update, you probably don't like the game. So I'm just gonna say it right now. This update is absolutely addressing so many different things that it is impossible to say that this is a bad update. And anybody who says so is disingenuous. So with that being said, the next thing I want to talk about is going to be the new stuff, like the new systems, like the dispatch system, right? So this is going to be the dispatch system. Now, as you guys can see, we are going to be able to do these a couple of times a day. So as you can see up there, we're going to have 3 of these a day that we can do. And if I were to go ahead and click on one of these, you will see that we can go ahead and add the fighters. This UI is really, really cool. So you can go ahead and add fighters as you go here, and it will show you who you can add where. In general, this is a really cool way for you to be able to pick up these items here. Now, of course, they did tell us that one of the things that they were going to be giving us was going to be some new items in order for us to be able to craft for the new change-up system, and that is true. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Now, the thing that we're going to be able to do with these, because we're going to be able to pick these up, and you're going to need a change-up fighter on your roster in that system for the dispatch system in that mission in order to potentially get these. But you guys can see here that we can go ahead and get the prime memory shards that from the dispatch system and parlay those into these prime memories, so we have another avenue to go ahead and change up these fighters. Now, as far as the change up system, I'm going to go in and I'm going to summon, and I'm going to go ahead and try to do that in a separate video. I don't want to get too much into that today because we've already talked about that system and broken down how it works. I want to make an actual video summoning and then changing up one of these fighters or both of these fighters so that you guys have a full idea of what's going on with it. That's going to be something that you'll probably see in the very next video from me, whether that's today or tomorrow. That will be coming very soon. However, this is a super cool system, you guys. So in short, you can pick up these EX memory shards from the dispatch system for having one of the change-up fighters on your team in one of these missions. I believe it is going to be this one here. Yeah, so as you guys can see, if you have an EX leader here, then you can go ahead and send them out and you have a chance of getting those shards. So in general, you guys, the dispatch system, very easy to follow. It'll show you exactly who to put where. It's not anything you really need to sit here and scratch your head about. You'll see the timers. That's going to tell you exactly how long it takes to do these missions. And when they return, like I said, you get the rewards. So great stuff in general. This is a fantastic system. I have really no complaints about it. One other thing that I guess is worth noting when it comes to the dispatch system is if I go ahead, and I guess I can go ahead and just send some people out here, and I can just show you guys real quick how this works. So I'll just go ahead and do this. So we'll go ahead and do that. So you'll see that. So I do have my event mission that I just unlocked there for doing that. Now, as you guys can see, this is going to take a while. So there really isn't much we can do there. But if you were to have some of these could actually shorten the duration. Now, right now, we don't have any of those, so we can't. So we're just going to have to wait for our guys to come back. But in general, good stuff. So very easy to follow, like I said. Make sure you guys do this stuff. Very, very cool. In general, you got some hammers up here, which would be really neat. Really, you can kind of just pinpoint what you need. I like these skip tickets here because it looks like we have the epic quest and the chapter of fight ones. And then, of course, you want to make sure that you try to pick up those shards for the dispatch or for the actual EX system, because that is a really cool way to craft into some of those extra memories. Now, speaking of Chapter of Fight, it is worth noting Chapter of Fight is going to have a new season. So if we go in here, we are going to have a new season of Chapter of Fight. So make sure you guys do that for your 100 rubies a day. Very, very important to take note of. So with that being said, you guys, that pretty much covers the vast majority of this stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and do something now for you guys that I don't know that you expected. I got you, didn't I? If you saw the timestamps, though, you probably already knew. We're going to go ahead and summon. So, like I said, I'm very close to being able to change up these fighters. I'm just going to go ahead and use my free rubies. I'm not going to be doing anything beyond that. So, like I said, I'm going to show you guys real quick here. If I show you my memories here real quick. So, you're going to notice I have an Omega Rugal memory. And then I also have an Orochi one. So I have those from the original couple times they've run, so that isn't anything too crazy, but it is important because that means that really, because we are going to be getting one memory apiece for those characters respectively for free, I could go in and just get one memory for my Orochi and be done with him and be able to use him in the change-up system. And with the Omega Rugal, I technically need, at that point, what? I have some Boss Syndrome generics, but I'm not going to use those. I already have one. There's one for free, so that's A5. So I need 3 more. So for him, not as good. So surprise, we're going for Orochi. tricked you, didn't I? There's Orochi fans out there right now. They're just like, screw this guy. No, we're gonna go ahead and try and get one memory for him. Because like I said, we end up getting that free one. We'll be in good shape. I just need a EX fighter so that I can go ahead and change one up. Try and hope that we can get one here right off the bat. So let's go ahead now, start the summons. We're not gonna go into cards. We've already got all those. But we're basically just gonna try and get one memory for him, and then we're going to bounce. That's kind of the idea here. Then we'll go back to Omega Rugal, basically. If we get lucky at all. There you go, boom. I don't know how I just missed. I'll have to replay that. I thought that those were just 2 reds. Those were 2 reds, weren't they? Without the aura? Am I crazy? I guess I am. I guess I missed it, but hey, we'll take it. We'll take it. All right, so there you go, easy. Now we can go ahead and change him up, no big deal. So, all right, we'll just go ahead and keep using these. I think I have like 6 multis or something, 5 now technically, but yeah, that was easy. And that's the power of this rate up system, right? We got red again. Hope for the best here. Ah, that time, not so much. Not so much. That's okay, though. Technically, for me personally, I prefer Omega Rugal as a character. You guys know that. I've said that before. I prefer Rugal in general to a lot of the bosses in the King of Fighters, but at the same time... I was gonna say, don't freeze on me. But at the same time, really for me, it's just about using the new system, showing you guys the new system, and being able to use them in the dispatch system as well. So that's kind of where I'm at with it at this point. I'm really not all that worried about it. All I care about right now is Street Fighter. That's all I care about right now. So at the end of the day, this whole system is cool and all, and I'm happy that they didn't screw up the game. I'm happy that the change-up system isn't absolutely brain-dead broken, but at the same time, it's all about Street Fighter for me again. So that's all I'm waiting for. The hypest thing about this entire thing for me today was seeing that Akuma Datamine. So cool. All right, we're getting to the end here. We have 2 more. Not looking like Omega Rugal is going to be coming our way. Oh, it's red. It's red. We'll see. No. Oh, they can change now. That is new. That's what happened to me on that first multi. I think that that's new. I've never seen that in my life, and I've done a lot of summoning. Well, let's see if it's Omega Rugal.
Get over here!
Yep. All right. Cool. So that would mean we need 2 more for him. I can A5 him now, which is really cool. I'm excited for that. Awesome. All right. Well, we only have 1 multi left. And I'll just use the spare 90 rubies or whatever on Absolute War. Not worried about it. Yeah, we're not going to get anything on this one. Okay, well, bear in mind, guys, those red tiles now could be a FAS. Could be a FAS. All right, cool. So now what we're going to go ahead and do, now that we've done that, how far did we make it? Oh, not too bad. All right, sorry about that, guys. The game crashed. Whoops. So when it comes to the change-up system, like I said, now that we have 2 memories for this guy and we have a free one on that tower, I will be able to go ahead and change up Orochi today. I'm just going to have to go ahead and play through the tower, which I'm planning on doing after this video. And then what I'll go ahead and do is I'll make a video on the change-up system for you guys, and I will also run this guy through his paces and let you know how I feel about him post-buffs. However, in general, I am very, very happy with this update. You guys, I wanted to go ahead and surprise you with the summon session just as kind of a celebration thing, because I do feel like this is probably one of the most important updates that Netmarble has given us in a very long time. In my opinion, you guys, you should probably go out there on the forums or maybe even send a note to them and thank them for the things that they did here, specifically putting both of those generic memories in the new guild raid difficulties boxes, because whenever they do things wrong, yes, we need to be constructive and criticize them. However, when they do things so incredibly right, like what they did with this update, we need to also praise them when they do those things, because they need to be aware that we're paying attention to this stuff and we're thankful for it. It goes a very long way, and in general, I think that this update is nothing but positive, and I honestly do believe that we should all be really happy with it, especially going into this next collaboration. This is very, very positive news. So in general, you guys, let me know in the comment section down below what your favorite part of the update was. Let me know how your summon sessions went, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. You all take care. Peace.
Continue.